You are listening to Forest Fairy Oracle with Mary Moses.
Part 2. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Let's talk about John 3:16 from a scientific perspective and a numerical perspective. We're going to focus our attention on the little moon above the bull. The bull is called El. He is a moon god and is connected to the bull. It is also connected to Mithra. Mithra sacrificed the bull turned into the moon. So we're dealing with a consciousness that is called El. And this El god changes from a lower world behind a wall, a prison, to the left side of the page, where this little ball changes into like a table between two elephants. So the god El shifts our consciousness from a lower world to a higher world. And again, this god El changes from an elephant to a dragon, and this moon is seated above a tower and in front of the female that has the numbers 316, like John 3:16, and the 3 moons, which is really just a communication of the 3 L's. From the symbologies within this piece, we are being shown that El is a consciousness which lives inside our head and can move our awareness to parallel bodies and timelines, which takes us from a world of prison, like Egypt, and into a world of the different elements. So the god El is connected to the elements. So your body is 75% water. The earth is 75% water. When we leave the moon energy and we go to the water energy, we're shifting elements. When we leave the water, the baptism of water, and we go to the baptism of fire, we are literally shifting timelines. When we go from fire to air and to the different 5 elements with the 5-pointed star in this piece, we are shifting water, earth, spirit, air, and fire. The fire energy is consciousness. The water energy is subconsciousness, meaning that we are not awoken. So really the god El is about being asleep and ignorant. Ignorance leads to pain and suffering. And then as we begin to awaken, we move to different elements. And these elemental gods are connected to animals. And these animals are connected to objects like diamonds. So it's really scientific in the sense that we are 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Neutrons and protons die. But the Trinity is electrons. And electrons never die. This is why Jesus was always the Trinity, the 3 crosses, the 3 wise men, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the 3 gifts. Jesus died at 12 o'clock, the sun rose at 3. The Trinity is elemental, and it is planetary. And everything in our outer reality is a mirror of our inner world, so the earth, moon, and the sun are the most pivotal pieces of our consciousness that we can visualize outside of ourselves. So obviously the god El is about 11, and 11 is the 2 poles, the conscious and the unconscious. And the way out of duality, life and death, is the Trinity, the third eye, the third planet or light, which is the sun, which is the Son of God. So if you believe in the Son of God, then you would prove it with your actions. Your whole entire life would be a living testimony of that belief. It is not about going to church, worshiping the Son or Jesus or anybody other deity. It's not about saying out loud that you believe even. It is a living awakening. And this awakening shifts your actions. And not only does it shift your actions, but it completely shifts who you are. So you become reborn and you become electrified with the god El. So the number 316 equals 10. and it is considered perfected man. The name Adam is 1414, which is 10. Osiris's body was cut 14 times, and these are symbols of science. And science is numerical, and religion is numerical. It has just been misinterpreted. So the name man comes to the numbers 415, which equals 10. This is perfected man. So the letter M is the 13th letter in the alphabet, but it represents the number 4. Manifested presence. The letter A is the number 1. It's an individual which gives breath to life, and the letter N is the number 5. It is a sensate being, the 5 senses and the 5 elements. So when you add up 415, it comes to the number 10, which means that we are created perfect and we have stepped into perfection. So you have the number 5, you have John 3:16, and you have 5 and 10. And that number 10 is an emanation of the number 5. So it's very numerical, and it's emotional, and it's mental, and it's spiritual, and it's scientific. So the connection between male and female is simply a connection between flesh and spirit, heaven and earth. Our ability to bounce our consciousness from the flesh and have the ability to touch information outside of ourselves. Becoming an oracle releases us from the bull, from the moon, takes us to the earth. From the earth, it takes us to the Son of God, the Trinity. So these animals, the elephant, also takes us to Hebrew words called Aleph. And Aleph sounds like life, sounds like I laugh, sounds like an elf. And they will put a play on words when they communicate with you about what energy you're dealing with in your life. So look out for the elf or the elephant, because they're really talking about the original source of life itself is Aleph, which is the number 1, which is truth and life. To get further information about what tribe you are in and who you are being taught by, I found a podcast of a woman who speaks of the Diamond Dragon tribe, and I am going to play it for you here. When we see the Santa Claus at the 6 o'clock position, 6 and 6 is 12. The 12th month is Christmas. In order to step into Emerald City, Anti-M, your mastery, or the letter M, which is the number 13, which dominates time, we have to be like a Christmas tree. Our body, the tree of life, must be ignited and illuminated with lights. And the star on top of the Christmas tree should be the Spirit or the Holy Spirit or our higher self teaching us and how to hear outside of our flesh. And then the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer reflects Mars and Saturn, Santa Saturn, and about a transcendence out of time so that we aren't stuck in a matrix. And the ability to fly helps us to fly the Santa Saturn energy out of our lives, because we have to learn to fly our consciousness outside of our body. This takes us to Norse mythology, where Mimir, my mirror, the earth, your flesh, which is 75% water, the original mirror, was an oracle. And they beheaded him, and the beheading meant that he didn't die. Because he was an oracle, he didn't die. He lived forever. And they made it sound like he was a robot, but what it's saying is, if you learn to connect to electrons, a third element within you, you will have the ability to hear synchronicities, divine order, and messages outside of your flesh, and then you will not experience death. So even Jesus said, if you are alive, you will never die, and if you died, you will live. Do you believe me? So Jesus represents 11. Jesus Christ has 11 letters in his name, and it represents unconscious because becomes conscious. The 2 poles, and the 11th house of Aquarius, taking us to the eternal spring and a place where we are awoken. So it is the golden age of Aquarius. It is the awakening. It will take us to Hebrew, the Torah, and many other religions, Vishnu and Hinduism, but that's okay. There's truth within it all. The key is to listen to the Trinity, which is your higher self, when it comes to truth with all these religions, so that we can make our way through the labyrinth and not get lost. Because if we are tethered to the written word, which is our ego and the flesh, then we can never hear the unwritten word of the Holy Spirit. What is the purpose of the Holy Spirit of truth if all of our answers come from a book? These truths are not always found in a book, and we can't judge that spirit, because that spirit will lead us to a myriad of answers in a myriad of books, and the interpretation of it may switch on us because we are being awoken. So this awakening is wonderful. Be thankful for it. Here is the podcast. If it cuts off, just realize that the entire video is uploaded on my YouTube channel, Mary Moses Art, and you can listen to it in its entirety there.
Right? The energy of the dragons of the 777, though, what I know in the consciousness that we're currently in is that we are working with that number doubled. Okay, so it would be 777, 777. So this was the number I received for these diamond dragons. And I called up a girlfriend. When I got this download, I called up a girlfriend, and she had been in that original group. And I said to her, do you remember the diamond dragons? I called them, and she said, yeah. I said, well, I just got their halo key, and I told her what it was. And she said, well, you know, I'm not in Austria right now. She lived in Austria. She says, I'm actually in Slovenia, in the city of dragons, standing on Dragon Bridge in this very moment. And I'm looking at a statue of a dragon, and on the wall it says 777, the number of the dragon. So as you can imagine, that got my attention, because I really was very much aligned to the archangelic, right? But what I came to learn and what I came to remember truly was the importance of working with the dragon energies. Now, diamond dragons carry very specific tone. The diamond is a 33, diamond dragon together is an 11, so they are gatekeepers. They manage the lock and key kind of gates of the universe. They are source dragons. They are what Diana Cooper would call source dragons. Same, just different name. And they do govern the alpha omega systems, which would be the call and response, the cause and effect, the masculine, the feminine, the harmonics, right? The general harmonics, which I see those dragons running really under the 888 elements, right? Abundance, everything in creation, always coming forward, right? And how much are we going to receive? What do we request and what do we receive? So this is the exchange, right? So as I, at that moment, got that message very clearly, like, yes, please pay attention. You are to work with us. Please call us in more. Please, you know, just, it wasn't just a one-hit wonder kind of situation. And I got the message clearly. So from that point forward, I really began to connect more with the dragons. And what was interesting about it was I see everything as archetypal in this way, right? So when you think of these majestic beings, like these broad, ginormous beings, right? I feel that they are massive light streams, right, in the cosmos. And we tap into them because they are the network, ultimately. So when you think of them as that quantum network, you can tune in depending on what you want to tune into, right? You can utilize their energy to up-level your own archangelic temple, right? Your template. Bring your arcs into a higher vibration, right? When you're feeling really low energy, call in the dragon energy to really boost. I kind of see them as amplifiers and boosters as well. But there's so many ways to interpret it, because fundamentally it is creation. It's the governance of all creation, okay? Again, I can only share with you my understanding and my inner knowing or comprehension of this. I tend to speak very much about the science of spirit, right? My job when I first came in, this was prior to Doreen kind of exiting. So my job was to bridge us into what they were calling the angelic arts and sacred sciences, and to explain how we connect directly to these frequencies, how we embody these frequencies. And the Halo method is one element, which is about tuning into your own specific domain, let's call it, what you govern, what you're responsible for. And when the dragons then came in, it was like a whole other level, right? And I do feel that they come in more and more now because more and more people have been doing the work. more and more people have been working on their own personal ascension. They've been doing the shadow work. They've been doing the work to heal their traumas, their childhood wounds, all the source elements as well that are coming in from what I call your network. And your network is, where do you exist somewhere in the multiverse as a master of light, as a universal teacher? Maybe you're a world guardian. Maybe you are an angelic or an archangelic. Maybe you are existing, in some other capacity on any of the galactic spectrum, right? What people would call the cosmic galactic. So there's so much to you. There's this version of me called Stephanie, and there's the network of me. There's all that I'm tapped into and connected to. So that's what I really am here to explain today, is the majesty, the noble nature. What the diamond light represents is really the ascension frequency. What it really represents is the very specific frequency that is here now on this planet, which many have tapped into for a while, that is capable of holding all frequencies, right? It's like, I call it the multivitamin L, right? It's every bandwidth of light, ultraviolet to violet, everything in between, invisible and visible, all of it. And when we tap into these spectrums, wherever you feel a void, wherever you feel deficient, right? Whether it's a self-esteem issue, soul confidence, something of that nature, or whether it's your body that's just tired. This is the energy that I always go to first. Like, let's just get the diamond light running. Let's see what it can start to resolve, right? And the dragons fundamentally are governing that, right? I feel that I have a few here I want to show you. So I work with crystal skulls. I'm going to see if I can do this with them. So this is Terra. It's a terahertz dragon. I'm going to try to get in my frame because of the back screen. So this is a terahertz dragon called Terra. Let me see if I can turn it sideways. Can you see it? Okay. And this is a very traditional dragon carving, but terahertz is one of the frequencies right now that I wear terahertz. I very much align with to assist us in improving, getting us more energy. Because in case you haven't noticed, the world is feeling a little denser than normal. So everything we can do to kind of amplify and boost our energy field is great. Now, the thing about terahertz is it helps with your blood systems, okay? It can help get your blood moving a little bit better through the body. It also is really good mitigator for EMF. So I keep this terahertz usually somewhere where any Wi-Fi is running. Now, I also have this one off screen. And I just like to bring them in because I might cancel today. Now,
in conclusion, the diamond dragon reflects water and fire as the shape of the diamond. And this is the divine marriage of water and fire, the moon, the earth, and the sun coming together as a trinity. And it's your higher self saying, study symbology, study numerology, study esoteric truth, study how your brain is the head of heaven and actually literally has symbols of Horus and the eye of Horus inside your brain. So there's truths about the physical and the spirit world that all come together and begins to make sense like a beautiful puzzle. So the bird above the woman here is the Horus. Horus has been birthed. And Horus is Christ also. So he had 12 disciples and rose from the dead and was born of a virgin and had was baptized by someone who was beheaded. It's the same story of Christ. And the reason they repeat these stories over and over is to really just awaken us. So it's an awakening. And it's not about servitude necessarily. It's not about worship. It's not about a religion. It's really about our lives as a living testimony and prayer that we have awoken. It's all an awakening, and that's a wonderful thing. It can take the pressure off of the word belief, because belief is really your life being a living mirror of Christ, and it has nothing to do with tongue worship. So we're shifting away from the understanding of John 3:16, especially from a scientific point of view. My name is Mary Moses. If you would like a reading, go to forestfairy.com.